Last but not least, the chimes. I save the chimes for last because they're the most different of the entire family. They are tubes rather than bars. As a matter of fact, sometimes the chimes are referred to as tubular bells. You can kind of see the tubular shape of it. They're played vertically rather than horizontally, and they're played with hammers rather than mallets. So they're quite different. The hammers, there are two types of hammers. There's a wooden hammer. This is one that's actually made of rawhide, which is a slightly softer wood, and it gives a more mellow, uh, beautiful tone quality. Or a hard plastic mallet, which gives a harder and more and projects more. It's a much brighter tone quality than the wood. The plastic mallet comes with two sides, a hard side and a side that's covered with rubber to soften the tone. Still not quite as soft as the wood. As you can see, each tube has a lip on the top, which is where I'm playing the chime. If I play off of the lip, I don't get much tone quality. I don't get a very good tone. So I have to play right on the lip, and I play exactly perpendicular to the tube. I don't play at an angle because I don't get as good a tone quality. So when I play the sharps and flats, I have to hold the mallet horizontally so that I can get at. So I actually end up playing all of the notes with a horizontal technique. So that when I go back and forth, I can go back and forth between the naturals and the black keys readily. The pedal on the chimes, you can't see it, but it's exactly the same as the pedal on the vibraphone. Pedal down, the notes ring. Pedal up, they stop. You can play with the pedal up, you get a very staccato. It's not written for very often. There are models of chimes that have a reverse pedal. They ring until you press the pedal down. It's actually a very smart idea because then you can hit the chime, let it ring, go play something else without having to leave your foot on there. Most chimes have a button that is designed to hold the pedal down. And most sets of chimes, this button stops working after about the first year, and it's very difficult, if not impossible, to fix. I've never had success repairing the button on the chime. So if I need to keep the pedal down, I'll use a stage weight to hold the pedal down. Just is what it is. The range of the chimes is not completely standard. The lowest note is generally the C, middle C, written and sounding at pitch. The highest note is different. Most chimes, the highest note is F, top space treble clef. So it's an octave and a fourth. There are models of chimes, however, that add an F sharp and a G. So there's some models are F and some models are G. It's an unfortunate circumstance. You occasionally will see high Gs written for. There are extended range chimes. They can go down to even an octave lower and a couple of steps higher than the high note. The issue is, and we'll talk much more about this next class because it leads us to a whole set of issues. The issue is they don't make extended range sets of chimes. You have to get individual notes and hang them separately from your set of chimes. So it's somewhat difficult, but it's not as expensive, I don't think, as buying a huge set that you'd only use once or twice. So we'll talk much more about extended range chimes and how to procure things like that in next week's class. Chimes, like the crotales are not used as often melodically. Once again, the ring gets in the way. What am I trying to do? The ring just builds up and it doesn't really have a good melodic effect. So instead, chimes like crotales are used as reinforcements for changing harmony. I can muffle with my hand. It's not as easy as some of the other instruments. I much prefer pedaling, even though there's a little bit of space involved. You will occasionally find chime parts written for chimes with yarn mallets. Give me 1 second. I try to avoid using them. They don't sound good. They don't project well. Chimes are notorious for not projecting well to begin with. Chimes sound very loud when you're standing right next to them. By the time you get about 6 or 8 feet away, or certainly to the conductor, they sound significantly softer, and the conductor is always asking for more chime, more chime. You always have to play the chimes about a half to a dynamic level louder than indicated because of the lack of projection. And with yarn mallets, there's absolutely zero projection. So I much prefer to use the soft end of the chime hammer when playing softly rather than this sound that doesn't project. So I avoid that, and I tell composers to avoid that whenever possible. So again, the important things of the chimes are the chime hammers, the pedal, the range, which is again written at sounding pitch, and we'll talk much more next week about the extended range instrument. Once again, we play exactly perpendicular on the lip of the bell. And that's the chimes. See you all next week.